Okay, Pete, so 50 years on the mic at Brentford, you've seen generations of players come and go. What's the logic behind the team you picked for us today?
2-3-5, yeah, people my age will recognise that. You don't see it very often nowadays. Two fullbacks, a half-back line, so centre-half, two wing-backs, forward line and centre-forward, two inside forwards and two wingers.
Okay.
So, yeah, and in fairness to sort of players I picked, they would have been playing 2-3-5, or most of them certainly.
Okay, let's start with the goalkeeper.
Dave McKellar. I haven't included any loanees. I've included none of the current squad, because if I did, they would take up the full 11, and it wouldn't be 2-3-5 necessarily either. Loanees I could have done if I had. Cesney, no doubt, quality keeper. Steve Sherwood was here on loan for 2 seasons, came player of the year one of those years as well. It's quite unusual for a loanee. Dave McKellar was here a couple of seasons, eventually under Callaghan, who wasn't the most popular manager as far as I'm concerned when we talk about managers, maybe later. But he was a quality goalkeeper, an absolute quality keeper. He was here for a couple of seasons, fell out with the manager, and we retained his registration, and eventually he went to Hong Kong because he couldn't get any games over here. But yeah, Dave McKellar would be in goal for me, number one.
And then your two at the back.
Yeah.
First up.
Yeah, right back. I should be saying Kevin O'Connor. I've said Kevin O'Connor, but I haven't put him in the team. I mean, he played 500 games for us. Absolute magical man. Still with us, as you know, running the B squad. Dependable, everything about him. But I put in the guy who's a Hall of Famer, or another Hall of Famer, and that's Alan Hawley. Alan Hawley came to us in '62, was with us about 10 years or so, totally reliable, and for me, it's just a quality fullback. I'd say we've had some good fullbacks in our time, but Kevin stands out, but Alan Hawley has got to be there for me. Saw him recently at the funeral of Gordon Phillips, and in fairness, I'm quickly going back to Gordon Phillips, I would actually also include him. He was a quality keeper, played so many games for us. But no, Alan Hawley I picked for number two. He's my man there.
Alan Hawley there. And then on the other side?
Number three, left back. Again, we've had a good few there. Dick Rennick was a hardened player, going back a long time. People of my age will certainly remember Dick Rennick. But I'd go for Martin Granger. Martin, again, a solid. I like solid players. Nothing wrong with some subtlety, but I do like a solid player. I mean, the game has changed now. You know, obviously a lot of the players they play as wing backs, they go forward. But Martin Granger for me every time, good, solid. So Martin, it is.
You say he's solid. It looks like he popped up with a few goals from full-back as well.
He did, yeah, and that's always good. In fairness, so did Alan Hawley. He picked up a few, but Martin Granger, as I say, linked with Birmingham as well. So I'm not always popular when I talk about Martin Granger because of Birmingham City. But in fact, going back to those days, the Birmingham tend to pip us all the time in those days. Then one year when they were changed in the Football League, and only one team went up, it was Birmingham City, and we finished second, so we got a grouse to bear on that one.
Okay, so it's goalkeeper, two fullbacks.
Yeah.
First centre-back, who's up?
Centre-back, well, I put in number 5, we go for Terry Evans.
Okay. Popular choice.
Absolute man melting, cult hero at Brentford Football Club, Hall of Fame, just everything about him. He's one of these guys, when you come up against him now, you do a sort of man hug. I wonder what I'm doing round by his armpit because he's still towering over me. A lovely guy, but the ones I'm going to mention, there's a few coming up as hard as nails, and he's as hard as nails. Could have picked probably a couple other people there, but no, I'm going to stick with Terry Evans most certainly.
And what was it about him that made him such a good leader? When Kev did this for his 11, he picked him as the captain. So.
Yeah, I haven't picked Terry as captain.
Okay.
I haven't nominated my captain yet. But he was just a leader by his sheer strength and power as much as anything else, I suppose. You know, we've had some good centre halves. Mel Scott, going back to the 60s as well. Peter Gilham, another one. Peter Gilham played over 500 games for Brentford. There's a lot of quality guys out there, but I can only pick one. So Terry Evans it is.
Terry Evans. You've got two more at the back.
Yeah, my right wing back, go back the old days. And in fairness, this one doesn't go back quite so far. I could have picked Ibu Sonko. Sonko was absolute towering headers. He's now an agent. Still see him at the club. He's one of these players who comes back and just calls in the Jersey Road, which is great. But the man for me was with us for 14 months. We bought him in '98 for £750,000. Then 14 months later, we sold him for about £2.5 million. And that was Herman Hreidarsson.
Okay.
And you can just hear the crowd just as he was moving forward, just the buzz in the crowd. He just sort of go storming through. The only problem he had is when you met him, I'd sort of talk to him and he would just grab me by the ears. It was just one of those things. Maybe it's a nice landed thing, but it would be suddenly just like that. And he has this habit, I think, of just picking people up like that. So,
right.
But putting that aside, Herman Hreidarsson.
Went on to have a good career after Brentford as well.
He
FA
certainly
Cup winner
did.
with Portsmouth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say he certainly did well for his country as well. So, Herman it is. Now you look at the other side, and this was a guy, came down from Scotland, never really learnt English, couldn't really make out what he was saying. He lived locally, and it's quite sad actually. The guy is going to be Tommy Higginson, that's what I'm going to be talking about. Tommy Higginson would run through a brick wall for you. Just never say die, just went on and on and on. And it was very sad. I mean, way after his playing days were over, he, as I say, he lived at Bush Corner. And Kathy, his wife, contacted me to say that he had the first stages of Alzheimer's. And trouble, because he was so well known by all Bees fans, he had sort of walked the streets towards Brentford, and they'd say to him, "If you would, Tom, I wish you were in the team now." And he actually believed it. And Kathy, his wife, contacted me. And between us, we decided I was going to write a letter. And I wrote a letter to Tommy and said to him, I'm afraid, your day's going to have to be over. We're going to have to cancel your contract. And I had to mention a few other players as well, Alan Hawley and Peter Gilham. So he believed it. And that was the only way he was able to stop, because he was actually believing he was playing for Brentford.
Right.
But sadly, he passed some while after he passed away. But it was very sad, but he was a fantastic player. Not to say quality, but it was just his inner quality he had. As I say, he'd run through a brick wall for you. So,
that commitment.
Tommy,
yep.
Lovely guy.
Okay, so that's your defence.
Yep.
So midfield.
Defence and midfield, that is, okay.
Defence and midfield.
Yeah.
Trying to get to
That's
grasp
2,
of the
3,
formation
okay.
system. Yeah.
We've now got a 5 coming up, which is the forward line.
Okay. Right. Forward line.
We now come to the 5.
The 5.
I'm going to do number 7 first.
Okay.
This guy, I could pick a few actually. I could pick Alan Mansley. Came very friendly with Alan. Fantastic character. Sadly no longer with us. He came the same day as Ronnie Fenton came, and he was a winger. Bit of a cheeky chappy. Broke his leg the week before his 21st birthday, as we were organising the party for him, so that didn't really help. So he's one. Another 7, Chris Kamara. And in fairness, I think he's done better outside of football than he's done in football. He seems to be doing okay. Wherever you go, you've seen Chris Kamara. See him at an hotel whenever we have pre-match and after the game. But a quality player, in fairness to him. But the guy I would pick would be another Hall of Famer, Jackie Graham. Okay. Absolute playmaker. Solid, was with us 10 years. Sweet with his foot. Just everything about him, without dissecting his play, he was, as I already said, a playmaker. And he was, it's one of those where, in the team in those days, number 7 go down first, Jackie Graham, or certainly in my eyes, Jackie Graham, you build a team around him. Yeah.
So I'll put number 8.
The haircut himself, Brill Cream man, Johnny Brooks. England international. He spent 9 years at Tottenham and Chelsea before us. Came to us in 1961, was with 3 years. And since then, he looked back and said his happiest times here at Griffin Park. I remember him coming some years ago. He'd sadly passed away now, but I remember him coming years ago when I was working here at Griffin Park, and we walked out on the pitch, and it was just over the halfway line, and he looked at it and he said, I remember standing here, I was on this and I swiveled it and I scored a goal from this spot. And it's brilliant that he'd come back and he just remembered that spot on which he was and where he scored the goal. Again, he was a really skillful, fast, real quality. And I think a lot of supporters my sort of age just think, yeah, that's a good choice. So I'm happy with it. Johnny Brooks.
And then next up.
It's a difficult one. Number 9, centre forward. We've had so many good forwards. I'm probably going to leave a few names out. Not that I want to, but I've just forgotten. But you've got Lloyd Owusu, Gary Blissett, Nicky Forster. Just so many good forwards we've had. But I've gone for the guy, Dean Holdsworth.
Okay.
For me, again, quality, good with his head, scored important goals for us, loads of goals in our promotion season. And he could lead the line, could do with it. Nothing personal against anybody, but I'd be very happy if he's in the team now, albeit he's a little bit bigger than large, but a great striker. I say we've had so many, John O'Mara, we've had so many good strikers in our time, I think. Not always, in fairness to one over here, they've scored goals, but no, Holdsworth's the man for me, Dino.
You said off camera that you're still in touch with him, Dean Holdsworth?
Yeah, he's, when we played Bolton last year, he'd been involved in Bolton, taken over, etc. And I was sitting behind the dugout at half time, and a guy came up to me, and it transpired to be the secretary of Bolton Wanderers. He gave me a carry bag and said, Dean Holdsworth asked me to get this to you. And thanks to him, looked in the bag, and there was a Bolton shirt that was signed on the back from Dino and wishing me all the best, because he'd heard about prostate cancer. So it was an emotional moment, absolutely brilliant, lovely thought, and we still keep in touch. And in fairness, I have to say, I keep in touch with a lot of the players, some of the ones I mentioned here. I enjoy it, they keep in touch with me, I keep in touch with them. It's good, and I just think it's so important. I think it's important for the club as well, and I love it when players contact me, or I'm able to get a number of contact, find out about a player's location and try and get to come along, and they can enjoy the times when they went for me here at Griffin Park.
Right, Pete.
I know what I'm going to say now.
Number 10.
Number 10, yeah.
Yep.
Number 10, it almost has to be. We had the Turbo twins, Jim Towers and George Francis. I can't put them both in, but Jim Towers has got to be my man here. Again, some really good players we've had. Andy McCulloch. Again, I keep going on about good with his head, but a good player. And I feel I've got to mention him because he comes down here regularly, just in case he's listening out.
Okay.
But it has to be Jim Towers. I think it's voted our greatest ever player. Scored an absolute hatful of goals with George Francis, and then inexplicably went to the team down the road, who I won't mention.
Oh dear.
Which was a killer for everybody.
So what was it about him and George Francis? Why did they combine so well?
They had this, it was almost psychic. They just knew where they were. They were just, I've used the word already, but inextricably linked. They just, everything together. They both scored a lot of goals. And then centre forwards, inside forwards is obviously different. We don't have inside forwards now. But they were sort of bludgeoning as well. I remember a good few that we've had here in our time, but they bludgeon their way through, and that's what Jim Towers would do.
Okay.
So he's an absolute must.
So Jim Towers at number 10.
Yeah.
To complete your 11.
11. I haven't named the captain at the moment, and this guy would not only get in because of, I reckon he's one of our best ever captains, but the quality of his goals. Scored a brilliant, as everybody knows, he hit about the halfway line. It's Paul Evans I'm talking about. Scored a goal from the halfway line, I think, at Preston North End. And then, a fortnight later, scored a goal which he considered was even better than that. It wasn't quite as far away. But for me, I can't even think of another 11 I'd want in there. Because him as a player, as a captain, captains are so important to get the right man. It's why I love what we do now. Everybody's had the chance to be a captain. But Paul Evans, number 11, captain. That's why it's double one.